Coincidentally, we already have distinguished colleagues coming in. Thank you, Francis. We do release you and believe that we are going to have a great event. Thank you very much for colleagues, senior colleagues who already signed in. Francis is, I believe, in the United States of America, so it's the middle of the night for them there, and then it needs to take his rest. The good thing is that this event is being recorded and we can share our robust discussions with colleagues. Please feel free to use the link to invite other colleagues to join us now. I can tell you that at this point, we already have some of our speakers. And I believe that I see the distinguished president of the Neuroscience Society of Nigeria already in attendance. Nigeria does a lot in the field of neuroscience. We have colleagues who are leading different levels of neuroscience research, and the significance of this event is not lost on us, which is a time to be able to show what we are doing in Africa, and then of course also to be able to amplify what we are doing in neuroscience to other sectors of the country. And that's those two, brain awareness in those two areas will be the focus of this annual event going forward. We have another distinguished panelist who is coming in shortly. Yes, thank you very much, panelists, for coming in early. We do also understand that there are several events organized for this week. Each session is about 15 minutes. It's being recorded, so we are not holding panelists back at all. I am personally grateful. I mean, I spoke to somebody who I was hoping to invite, and she gave me a bill of over $2,000, over 2,000 American dollars to appear virtually. And I didn't even have the money. I thought the fact that I'm a PhD student was supposed to be enough. So that is minimum worth of time for the panelists who have made out time in a very short duration to be here. Thank you very much. I'll just say we should have about 3 more minutes, and then we'll take the keynote, and we'll take Dr. Mahmoud Buka Maina so that we can release him to get back to other important issues affecting human life. We are grateful that you are here. We're just admitting guests at the moment. At exactly 5 minutes after 9, we'll take the keynote from the distinguished president of Neuroscience Society of Nigeria, and then we'll take Dr. Mahmoud Buka Maina so that we can release him. This means a lot to me. And all the panelists who are here, all the attendees who are here, consider yourself automatic guests for the physical event next year. We are taking it right to the seat of government next year. So it gives me even great honor and pleasure to know that there are neuroscientists also being part of what government is doing. And that's what distinguishes Dr. Mahmoud Buka Maina, who himself is a political office holder in Yobe State, Nigeria. Officially, I apologize, Dr. Maina, for the wrong spelling of your state. I do really apologize. I know that because you were not the only one who raised the issue. And so formally, I'm apologizing. The Neuroscience Society of Nigeria raised that issue officially with me, that the poster had to be redone, but it was almost impossible in the circumstances. So officially, we apologize. Next year, we'll bring the distinguished governor of Yobe State. So they would know, everybody would know that Yobe State is not being left behind, that even Yobe State hosts one of the neuro labs that the country can boast of. Everybody who is here at this moment. So we'll start in exactly 1 minute. I'll introduce the distinguished president of the Neuroscience Society of Nigeria. Okay, yes, Francis is already apologetic. I'm the one who is grateful. I'm sure that we can do better next time. But definitely next year we are doing it in person, physically, maybe hybrid for those who want to join us from the rest of the earth. But we are having this event next year. So please keep your calendar free. The last Friday of the Brain Awareness Week will be a physical event in Africa next year, a day event at least. So any takers, it's out there. If nobody in Africa will take it, Nigeria will take it. Or we'll probably move to another part of Nigeria, maybe Federal Capital Territory, so that we can have ample government representation. Some of the developments in Nigeria includes the Nigeria Mental Health Act that was signed into law December 2022, just before the close of the last administration. And we intend that that be domesticated in states of Nigeria and then also adapted into research. So that's the reason why we should keep showcasing what is happening in Africa. So it's exactly 5 minutes after 9. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the president of the Neuroscience Society of Nigeria, Professor Victor Bamidele Oyele, who has joined in here before the start. Distinguished President, sir.
Thank you very much for having me this morning. And I appreciate all the effort that you have put into this. I also extend my greetings to Dr. Maina and other people who are on the call. Mine is just to give the keynote, and let me see if I can share my presentation quickly.
I'll make you co-host for that, sir.
No, I've already known that.
Oh, amazing.
Yes. So I'm supposed to talk about collaboration and partnership for neuroscience. And I am from the University of Ilorin. We are the Better by Far University and the most distinguished one. In Nigeria, we actually won an award in January from an organization as the most distinguished university in Nigeria. And our goal is to be ever #1 in Nigeria. So, and must also say that I've been privileged to be a president in 3 societies: Neuroscience, Society for the Study of Pain, and Society for Experimental Biology of Nigeria, as well as being the member of Ibro African Regional Committee. I'll just speak briefly on this outline, and to also let us know that just like we saw in the flyer and the advertisement that neuroscience is relatively new in the world and even in Africa, even though it started from Africa, but it has come back to Africa, and there's a lot of improvement. So we have a lot of opportunities for engagement. We have neuroscience encompassing so many things, including modeling, engineering, psychology, chemistry, zoology, biology. And so it's the interdisciplinary nature of neuroscience can never be overemphasized. If it's even cut across the people in the arts, literature, and entertainment industry. And you can see quite a lot of intersection of neuroscience in, with many disciplines. So, of course, we use our brain to think, and if you don't have the brain, you will not be able to go to the moon. You won't be able to go to plan any other technological innovation. And so it's very important that we have everybody involved in the study of neuroscience. And we talk about collaboration. So what do we mean by collaboration? You see these 2 heads are coming together and they have a better idea. So you have the, and that is what we mean. So it usually leads to creation of something new. And that is what is expected in neuroscience in Africa. For research collaboration, we need to work together to achieve common goal of producing new scientific knowledge. When we work in silos, it might not be better for the continent, it might not be better for Nigeria, but when we learn to collaborate, then we can bring in new things, as we have said. And so collaboration can be viewed as involving coordination between the researchers, institution, organization, and communities. That is broadening the scope of this collaboration, that it doesn't have to be between individuals alone. It might be between institutes, organization, and even community. And again, what are these type of collaboration that we can have? It could be within the institution, as I've said. could be between company and institution, whereby you have pharmaceutical companies or other type of companies coming, maybe even automobile company coming to research centers, coming to a unit in the university, neuroscience unit, and saying, can you test this, effect of this on human being, on performance, and what have you. A company can actually come. I have been a consultant for a company before, when the days were still good. And I do believe that is what happened outside the country, but we must get there in Nigeria. And so it could be a collaboration between one university and another. So at a very high level, you have a memorandum of understanding signed, and then you have exchange of ideas and people visiting each other. And it could be just one researcher visiting another laboratory, and it could be based on our task, our experience, whatever you can do. You just collaborate based on further. You are a statistician, you are this, you are that. You have special skill in doing one dissection or the other, and you are brought in for collaboration. So if it is based on discipline like neuroscience, it could be, as we have said, it could be interdisciplinary. So different departments, chemistry, computer, physiology, anatomy, but they have a goal to be able to bring out something in neuroscience. And of course, it might be transdisciplinary and multidisciplinary. And all of these are needed for moving the neuroscience forward in our country and in the continent of Africa. And when we collaborate together, there are a lot of things that we can benefit from, including solving critical issues. There are certain issues that will not be solved for us for people in Europe, will not be solved for us for by people in America. Like you see, if malaria issues, and you have cerebral malaria also, if there have been things that have been endemic in America, we probably have had some solutions or more solution to it than it is now. So there are other ailments that are localized to us that we need to be able to solve these critical issues for national growth and development. In addition to solving these critical issues, it will lead to more scholarly citation, because
Sorry about that. We just stopped hearing, getting audio from the distinguished president.
It also enhances. Can you hear me?
We can hear you now, sir.
Okay. So it also enhances ethical conduct when many people are there. So if you want to do anything anyhow, secretly, somebody will say, no, let's do it like this. So you will be more transparency. And more transparent, it helps to maintain honesty, integrity, justice, and transparency. And I think we all need that in this part of the world. Where we can do anything openly, and somebody can, because we are looking at reproducibility of our findings and then fidelity of the research. So also it increases network, as we have said. It gives opportunity to meet experts in one field or complementary field. And so there must be that collaboration, because we are still growing in Africa. I remember that I was at a program last week, and Professor Olopade, distinguished Professor Olopade, was saying that he attended the first SONA in Nigeria, and the talk then were different from the one that was done in 2019, because we can see improvements in the skills, in the tools that we are using, and the level of discussion has advanced than what we were discussing in 2003. So it is important for us to continue to meet and to collaborate. And as I said, why we need to collaborate, to make available pool of mentors. There are people that are skilled in one thing or the other. And if you cannot collaborate with them, you may not be able to get the necessary ingredients and things that are helpful for you to be able to develop in your career. In addition to that, to benefit from fundings from other laboratories. There are some people that have funding that you may be able to benefit when you go to their laboratory And it has been like that. You go outside the country, but I think to some extent, we may be able to do that even in the continent of Africa. And of course, the skills are very important. There are some soft skills that you need to acquire, how to be tough at work, how to be perseverant, and how to be able to communicate your skills. And in addition to that, technical, like you want to know how to do one dissection, how to use one model, what are the things that are involved in this model, what you not do. Some of these things can only be learned when you collaborate and you have this type of laboratory visit. And there are instances that you have a very good idea, but you don't have the equipment to be able to do that. And that is one level that we need to also push ahead, because I know that Dr. Mana has been doing quite a lot in the Northeast, and there are some other laboratories. The Neuroscience Society of Nigeria has been featuring some of these laboratories. I think we have featured like up to 5 or 6 where they have different equipment and they can do different things. And I believe that on the continent of Africa, we need to have a repository or a knowledge of where this.
So we lost sound again, which is a moment to say thank you to all those who are joining in virtually despite the peculiar challenges of data. I think that's some discussion that we should have at some point, the peculiar issues of infrastructure to be able to do research. I know that even while conducting interviews, I have missed out. In fact, I missed out 2 important interviews just because of the network. And then, of course, it has that impact in research. So the distinguished president has exited totally. We hope that he joins back. But I can also seize the moment to say thank you. I know that one of my mentors, and I have quite a number of them on this call right now, one of them, Dr. Olivia Mashabane, also tried to sign in from South Africa, but she's exited at this moment. So those are the challenges of having virtual sessions. Next year, it will be hybrid, but we encourage everybody to get prepared for whatever part of Africa. But at this moment, it may just be Nigeria, maybe the Federal Capital Territory, hosting the Brain Awareness Week by Neuroscience Society of Nigeria next year. Except, of course, there are other African countries who would also want to be a part of this. So thank you very much, Dr. Mrs. Uche Amadi. Thank you for joining in early as another mentor of mine. Orel Guntipe was the first to sign in this morning. Thank you very much for signing in. And Vaughn, I hope I got that. Graham, thank you for being here. Another mentor of mine, Professor Adejoke Memodu, who greatly encouraged me to try to organize this event. Thank you very much, Prof, wherever you are at this time. Let's see if we can get the president back on before we take the session for Dr. Maina. But some derivatives already from the president's conversation would seem to foster to advance the cause of collaborations. And then, of course, so if we have anybody, this is an African outlook with respect to collaboration. If we have anybody who wants to make comments regarding the challenges of collaboration and partnerships and how we can overcome them, please feel free to put up your hand so that you can have the floor, or you want to also type in the chat. What I can say is the first thing I found out from my literature review on ethics of neuroscience in Africa is that there are so many things going on, but with different names. And I don't know what the impact of those names may be. Thank you. I think somebody has a... Yes, doctor, it's being recorded at the moment, actually, so it's being recorded. So, so when I started, the impetus for my own research was the European Union Human Brain Project. So even though it's called Human Brain, it specifically picked the name neuroscience for research. So I thought, not being a medic myself, just being at best an arts or social scientist, I came into research thinking that neuroscience was the only cognomen, if you like, or phrase used to describe brain research. I wasn't aware that there are neurologists or that there are neuroanatomists or anatomists or even mental health, and that it further splinters down to psychiatry, behavioral science, and all of that. And I think that it may be a major challenge because people or experts who keep conducting brain research in different fields. Is there a possibility that all of these fields can be brought together under one umbrella to be able to recognize that they are possibly doing the same things in different ways? Is there anybody who wants to suggest an answer to that? Because I think that it may be a major impediment to collaborations. Okay, so I don't know. Is there anybody who wants to make a comment on that? That's one of the major issues that I have seen. Another issue is regarding possibly geographical entities. Okay, so I mean, when I commenced my research, I was told, and rightly so, that Africa is big. Why do you want to conduct research all over Africa instead of choosing a place? And I said, we are talking neuroethics. There are people even doubting whether we are doing neuroscience in Africa. So let's look at what Africa has before we start to narrow it down to regions. And then I discovered that language may also be an issue. Language may also be an issue because even for my own literature review, I couldn't include French publications done in French. I couldn't conduct any review on that except the abstract was translated to English language. And we do know that colonialism in Africa took uh, English and French and possibly Portuguese as official national languages. So is there a possibility that we can surmount that hurdle of language in the place of collaboration? What I also found is that to be able to conduct brain research in communities, we may need interpreters. So how do we also, some of these interpreters is back-end, I've studied the levels, back-end interpretation and all of that. How do we ensure that we have the resources available to hire interpreters and to be sure that they are not only effective but efficient to be able to translate scientific findings? So those are some of the challenges I see. Uh, let me see if we have any comments in the chat. We don't have, and we don't have, the president has not been able to join back. That is, oh, yeah, says he'll keep trying. Oh, I'm sure it will happen, sir. We are holding forth. We are holding forth, sir. Okay, so the president is sending me private messages. Okay, there are people asking for links. Yes, I'm sending the links. Please feel free to send the link to colleagues to be able to join in. Yeah, somebody says perhaps, and that is Yomares. I hope I got that right. Yomares engaged on LinkedIn, and it's good to see you here. Thank you. Yomares says perhaps we are on something here, a new branch of neuroscience that is translation based. I agree 100%. And that is already happening in Africa. I mean, one of my mentors, Dr. Olivia Mashabane, at research is in a community called, and I'm not sure I have it right, SOSA. So our initial research was in a South African community called SOSA, and then they had to interpret in local languages. So I also watched a TEDx talk by a distinguished president of Society of Neuroscientists of Africa, Professor Amadi, whose wife is also here. He was talking about what brain means in different cultural contexts. I mean, and that's, the discussion is already going on. So people can also, attendees can also start to see where we need to stretch this conversation to. Somebody says, Sarenta Luther, thank you also for joining in. She says, what about bilingual people or trilingual people. Yes, even community, the impact of language, and I hope that it already seems to me that in my neuroethics discourse, I may have to stretch the conversation to that extent. Now, the way we consider brain research and even mental health in some parts of Africa, I can't speak for all of Africa, but even in parts of Nigeria, the way it's conceptualized may already bring with it inherent stigma, may already bring to it inherent stigma. So whereas, and I can talk about Yoruba, the Yoruba people from Nigeria. Nigeria is not just three ethnic groups. In fact, we are 250. Okay, so in Yoruba, which is just limited, well, majorly to Southwest in Nigeria, Nigeria with a population of maybe almost 200 million people, and then with 36 states, just heterogeneous like that. Uh, we call the brain in Yoruba language is called opolo. Opolo. Now, the way that sounds is described in such a way to say it is very resourceful. That's what it means. So that if you want to say somebody is intellectually sound in the Yoruba part of Nigeria, you will say in Yoruba, Oni Opolo. It means the person is brilliant. The person is brilliant. Oni Opolo. Literally interpreted, the person has brain. That's how to describe somebody who is brilliant. The person has brain. So, yes, sir. We will take Dr. Buka Maina shortly, who will be telling us, he will advance the conversation for that. He has, I believe, a 2022 publication on the contemporary challenges of neuroscience in Africa, the developments, and then also is advancing his research. So we'll take him while we are waiting for the president. But the way the brain is described in different contexts may be able to even showcase what the essence of languages, and then also the reaction that you get from the society when it comes to neuroscience research. Let me read one other comment and then we'll take Dr. Buka Maina in his own presentation. So Munachimso Jasi says, while Africa has seen remarkable strides in brain research, there remains a notable gap in computational neuroscience training and mentorship on the continent. While programs like Neuromatch and Ibizo excel, therefore advanced researchers. However, I'm thrilled to commend the recent trend Camina Computational Neuroscience Initiative, offering entry-level opportunities vital for nurturing talent. Let's continue to bridge this gap for aspiring scholars and provide more opportunities in this context. Great comment. Thank you very much. And then you will find that even part of discussions today will be on neuroimaging, which also is a derivative of computational neuroscience. The African Brain Data Network is doing tremendous work there. We have at least two representatives who are going to address us today. They are confirmed guests. As a matter of fact, Dr. Uche Amadi Hunwo is also a part of that research, which is trying to chart the course of neuroimaging and modern technologies for neuroscience in Africa. So, distinguished colleagues, permit me to invite Dr. Mahmoud Buka Maina, who is amongst those of us who are not even yet young researchers, we have not even gained entry. He already leads in that regard. I am proud to say that we were in the same university together. Maybe he finished before me, definitely did. May have finished his PhD before I got admitted to study masters at the University of Sussex. But he's a great pride who's won many accolades just showing forth diversity in research. He's got a neural lab, which I'm proud of, conducting biopsies in advancement of neuroscience research in Africa. He is also a distinguished public servant. That is the most exciting part for me. So call me a politician, it's all good. You need the politicians to advance this course. And he's understood that early enough, and he will be showcasing his research work. Dr. Maina, over to you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alu. I'm really excited to be here. And I would like to also send my greetings and respect to the other colleagues and mentors in the group. it's a shame that the president could not continue his conversation because it was I was so much enjoying the kind of insight he was sharing. Hopefully he will join later. Before I start, could you confirm whether you are seeing my full screen or whether it's the
We see the screen with some notes. So this is your own
okay,
uh,
so
screen as
all
a
right.
presenter.
So what about
Yes,
now?
sir. Full screen now.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
So again, thank you very much for the invitation. And I thought that I should give a talk. It's kind of a similar talk that I gave at the Euro World Congress organized by the ALBA network. But I thought that I should add a few things and um, kind of have a conversation about it. So obviously, what I would like to start with is to say whoever hasn't read this paper should read it. It's a paper that I collated together with Prof. Cassie Donald and a lot of other senior colleagues and mentors like Professor Amadi, which kind of describes the state of neuroscience and what is next in the continent. In this paper, particularly, we highlighted 5 unique domains of distinction that makes African neuroscience particularly very, very exciting. And I have to acknowledge that this whole work came out of a Wellcome Trust funded kind of uh, scoping review where they gathered us and other, to kind of like lead a conversation about African neuroscience. So we kind of brought together the community from all the continent to have a chat and discuss. So at the end of the day, the content of that paper is, I would say, quite representative of the voices within the African neuroscience landscape. And 5 key areas are the fact that Africa has, huge genetic diversity that is so critical, not just for neuroscience research, but beyond neuroscience research. And also, there is the issue of, there are a lot of children in Africa, and the child brain health and development is an area that is still not fully understood, and an area that therefore African neuroscience can champion on the global stage. And then, of course, access to unique clinical population that has to do with trauma and even dementia cohorts. We haven't got those, and given the genetic diversity of the continent, studying these cohorts or this population would advance global science, and particularly also even in terms of clinical trial recruitment. And then, of course, we have the diverse African flora, fauna, and ecosystem. You all know, you just finished talking about how the brain is called in different languages. And even within Nigeria, if you start talking about the dishes, for example, that you can eat if you go to let's say to the south or to the north, you'll be surprised. So the continent has this huge diversity of medicinal plants, of animals, and the ecosystem in general. And of course, the other thing was the impact of climate change on and environmental risks, as well as conflicts on neurological and mental health. And we can only perhaps understand this by thinking about the fact that the world is currently over 7 billion, there are over 7 billion people in the world right now. And as the population increases, there would be more impact on different resources. So for example, impact of climate change is probably going to increase until unless, something is done about it. Where currently there is low population, perhaps the population might increase and many different things. And unfortunately, these are some of the things that we are already experiencing in Africa. So studying the how this impacts the brain perhaps will tell us about how to mitigate those issues as they become more and more global. So, but the key question is, given these unique domains of discussion distinctions in Africa, what has stopped the continent or the neuroscience community in the continent from fully capitalizing on these areas? So we published this paper in 2021 in Nature Communications, where we kind of profiled African neuroscience from the last almost 30 years. We analyze papers from all all countries within the continent, over 15,000 articles that we now narrowed down to about 6,000, I think. And one of the major things that came out is the fact that the infrastructure for neuroscience research within the continent, if you compare it with other countries like Brazil, Japan, UK, USA, is almost non-existent, with the exception of a few places. So this is showing you number of publications that have used advanced techniques like confocal microscope, PCR, Western blotting. And of course, you can see that a place like Gambia, is ranking quite high, and that is linked to the MRC unit, the Gambia. So this is a unit funded by the UK government that is located within the Gambia. So this is one of the major challenge. And of course, there are other things that we've highlighted in the paper. If you want to read that, I will encourage you to go look up this paper and read more about it. But then the question is, obviously, we've talked about the unique domains of distinction. We've talked about the challenges. What is the solution? Obviously, we can't talk about problems without talking about solutions. Of course, there are many different solutions, but one of the solutions that, as part of that Wellcome Trust funded assignment that we were, asked to do, one of the key solutions that kind of came out quite clearly was the fact that we need to be able to establish local hubs. For example, have a hub, let's say within Nigeria, within South Africa, within this place, within this place. These hubs should now serve as kind of promote or build an ecosystem around them that would allow for communication, collaboration, and people to visit to do their work, just like you had the president mentioning a while ago. So that is something that came out quite clearly. But of course, there were other options, for as a solution. But this is a solution that perhaps would have one of the greatest impact. And for me, obviously, even before that Scorpion review, we've realized that this is definitely the way to go. And in 2021, I established this center, the Biomedical Science Research and Training Center, thanks to the support, an excellent support given by the Yobe State government and the Yobe State University. And this is a center that aims to provide advanced infrastructure for biomedical science research and training for African scientists, while also offering access to diverse African human samples and animal models. So what we want to do is to serve as a center that promotes the skills acquisition while also doing our research. And the center is currently, at first, in 2021, we were located in the Department of Physiology in Neuroscience University. Last year, we were moved to an interim site, and currently the government is building a whole, dedicated center for us, which hopefully will be completed within this year. But as you can see, this is a picture collected last year, so there's a lot of improvement since that time. For example, that time we had only one confocal microscope, but now we have two confocal microscopes. And I believe that we had the first ever confocal in Nigeria, and now we have two. And I know that there's a confocal donated to one of the universities as well, which is great. The community is building, is developing. We have tissue culture facility, we have molecular biology units, we have other units. So it's really, really exciting. But one key thing about this center is that we maintain an open access policy, because the key thing is that you can't really say you want to develop neuroscience or whatever research within a country or within a continent if you are closed, which means that, oh, it's only for me and for the people that are in my university, or the people from my own region, or the people that are from my particular tribe or ethnicity or religion or whatever. You can't really achieve progress if you have that type of policy. So for us, the policy is that it's an open access facility, which means that anyone from any part of Nigeria, West Africa, or from across Africa can simply fill up the lab visit application. Obviously, there are a number of things you have to say that this is what you want to do and this and that, and you need to be able to align it to what we have in the center. And of course, also, you need to be able to have your own consumables because, of course, if we say you can come and then do the research, we pay everything for you, then we can't really maintain a center. So it's not for profit. So therefore, we are not charging anything to gain profit, but rather to be able to sustain the center. So anyone can visit the center. And if you go to the website, you can quickly go to the resource section. Under the resource section, if you click on the equipment, it will show you a list of different equipment that we have in the center. And then hopefully that can guide people to understand what things they can be able to do within the center. And of course, as a training center, we've been training African scientists since inception. We've organized many summer schools and local workshops. This was from last year's summer school, where we had people from across Africa, including Nigeria, Ghana, Cameroon, Egypt, and other places visit. They were trained for 2 weeks in different areas. And specifically, even though this is outdated as well, we have trained over 140 scientists through different, activities. Not just scientists, but also clinicians as well in different activities. So as a center that started 2021, I humbly say that we are quite proud of the achievement, our achievement so far. In addition to the training, we have ongoing research activities. So we have at the moment 4 principal investigators with focus on mostly neuroscience. For example, I did my research as well from the center, and then there's Professor Keshi, Professor Rauf, and then there's another infectious disease group also working on malaria. For me particularly, I work on establishing Alzheimer's disease cohort from our region, alongside a group that we have founded recently, Arewa Dementia Group, in order to understand the dementia, epidemiology, genetics, as well as cellular and molecular mechanisms from the region, which has been historically very, very much underrepresented in terms of medical research. And some of the things that we are doing as a basic scientist, the clinicians deal with the kind of like dementia and other things, diagnosis and understanding of the frequency and other things. And for me, what we do is we collect skin biopsies or blood cells that we can now convert into induced pluripotent stem cells. And these induced pluripotent stem cells, we kind of bank them both in RTC, but also in other locations like in Washington University in St. Louis, where we have a collaboration, as well as at the University of Sussex. And then we can produce, let's say, brain cells, like neurons, astrocytes, microglia, to be able to understand cellular and molecular mechanisms of dementia in this particular population. And this is so, so important, again, because we know that ancestral background does play a role in how you develop, or how dementia progresses, as well as also environmental factors. So the idea, therefore, is for us to be able to tackle those challenges from within the center, doing most of the work there. And making these cells be, in open access format means that we are, again, not restricting or, at the resources that we have generated, but rather we are making it open access to other people from around the world to be able to also, for example, model other diseases in an African genetic background. For example, Parkinson's disease, for example, even kidney diseases. You can use these stem cells to now produce any type of bodily cells. The thing is, we can't really progress without working together. We can't progress without, when we close what we have, when we don't make them open access. So this is so I'm excited that we have now formed this Arewa Dementia Research Group. Obviously the ambition is so huge, and huge. And I'm delighted that we've received a funding from the Tower Council, from the Rainwater Charitable Foundation recently, to advance aspect of this work. And I want to highlight that in BioRTC, we have an advisory board. Obviously, it's a new center. There are still, the things that we're trying to put together to make it, to meet certain requirements, but we have an advisory board that advises us on what we do. And importantly, also, we have the local government backing. So this is the governor of Yobe State. You know, as you have heard from Olu, I'm an advisor. I'm an honorary special advisor for science research and innovation for the government, and they have been wonderfully supportive of everything that we have been doing, and I hope that this will continue to happen beyond his time. Finally, I would like to highlight that as a center, we currently have an open fellowship where we will fund you to go to the center to do your project, any project that has to do with imaging. It was open last month, and unfortunately, we are going to close the application today. So if you can quickly submit your application, once you are selected, we will cover your transportation to go to the RTC. We will cover your accommodation for that 1 month period to be able to do a research, but it has to involve imaging. And even though it's going to close today, hopefully we would open up another, depending on whether we still have the leftover funding from this first round. If we have leftover, we'll open up again so that people can apply. So this is the opportunity that the president has been talking about. And I think we have no excuse now to say that we don't have the capability locally. At least we have the capability to be able to do certain things, and we at least now have even funding to support people to go and do those things. So to conclude, I think our ambition is to develop into a center of excellence in neuroscience, and I believe that we've already started going towards that, and we would continue to depend on your collaboration and support to achieve that. I'd like to end by thanking all the different funders and organizations that have either given us equipment to set up this center, given us funding to run our activities, etc. Thank you very much.
Oh, Dr. Maina, this is only the second time I've heard you speak. And even though protocol dictates that I must be very nice, but you hold us spellbound. This is only the second time I've heard you speak publicly, and it's amazing how you are able to showcase what we are doing in Africa. I mean, you left the best for the last, that about neuroimaging, and that it closes today. So distinguished colleagues, you have the opportunity to still apply today. I'm trying to get Mr. I call him triple president now, since he's the president of 3 societies. So he won't forget me. I'm the one who christened him triple president. So he's back in. If you want, distinguished president, if you start your video so that you conclude your session, I will quickly take questions for both you and Dr. Maina, and then we can move on to the other speakers. There is a possibility that we even finish earlier than we determined. These presentations already are very excellent, and then we still have a few interesting ones coming up. Thank you, distinguished triple president. Over to you, sir, to conclude your presentation, and then we'll take questions for both you and Dr. Maina. Over to you, sir.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm so sorry about the inability to join. To do this is part of the problem we have in Africa. MTN, data, and what have you have been problematic, and I can let you know that the secretary to the Neuroscience Society of Nigeria reached out to me that she has been unable to join at all this meeting due to connectivity issues. So for myself, I had to change network from MTN to Airtel and MiFi before I'm able to do this. So I apologize for the break. Just to conclude, example of a collaboration is this paper that was published by myself and my group. We see the first author was my PhD student, is now established somewhere in Osun State University. And the other authors are in different parts of the world. But our main collaboration, we collaborated with people from Louisiana State University, and then from Osun State and from University of Ilorin. It allowed the student to be able to travel to Louisiana State University to carry out the study on Parkinson's disease and use the equipment, the stereostatic apparatus at the Louisiana State University. Whereas we obtained the funding from the TED Fund NRF. And at the end of the day, we eventually got our own stereostatic apparatus and will have it functional in my own laboratory here in Ilorin. So collaboration would make us to be able to do something better. And as I've said, in conclusion, we need to work together to advance neuroscience and its benefit in our country and continent. And I must also commend Dr. Maina for the great work he's doing in the Northeast, as I've said before. And we can only hope that he will continue to do more and God will continue to strengthen him. We really appreciate what you are doing in that particular part. So we need to be a part of teams to be able to move forward. And I can see that the population in Africa is very young and we are dynamic and we are forward looking. We want to just achieve a lot of things. Even the benefit that we have now were not there 10 years ago, 15 years ago, but we have a lot of incredible opportunity. I remember that a young lady is currently in Dr. Mana's lab in the Northeast, and just 3 months to the end of her youth service, she says she wants to go and gain some valuable skills, and she's there right now. These are part of the opportunities that are there available. And December 2022, because of the grant that I had to have the stereostatic apparatus, I organized a training workshop on how to do stereostatic surgery that attracted about 30 people. And these are some of the capacity building that can be done across different parts of Nigeria. As I've said before, the NSN, through the newsletters, we have been featuring laboratories so that it's not as if, okay, there's something working here, we don't know. As many laboratories that come forward, we feature what they can do to give opportunity to our upcoming generation. So thank you very much for your time.
Distinguished triple president, thank you too. I want you to acknowledge that I was the one who christened you triple president, so that you will not forget me. So anywhere you hear triple president, you say it's Olu that did it. All right, Dr. Maina, thank you, and the distinguished president, thank you also for your presentation. Questions are already going on in the chat. Dr. Maina has put in a lot there, including the possibility for an extension of the deadline. So we can take this back home to students, researchers everywhere, that there is an opportunity for a fully funded training on neuroimaging. And then, of course, we've been having conversations on the implications of our local languages and languages generally on neuroscience research. So, distinguished colleagues, if we have additional questions for these two very busy individuals, let us ask them. I see Dr. Uche Amadi, who we are going to be taking a session next, and she's going to be discussing our initiative, the brain wellness and career growth for researchers. I can quickly tell us that by the next event, we've already identified, next year for 2025, we already identified a theme, and I can share that with you just before distinguished panelists leave, because they're an integral part of that. So it is the imperativeness, okay, of having public sector support or participation. Public sector support or participation was the imperativeness for brain research and development. And we hope to do this in conjunction with Yobe State Government, with the University of Ilorin, through our distinguished president, and then featuring their labs as well. So we will be following up with them to ensure that we have an excellent brain awareness event for 2025, showcasing and being able to bring in the government. Also, we will bring in private sector on for infrastructural support, digital infrastructural support for neuroscience research in Africa. We would look for homegrown companies, possibly global, to be able to understand that these things can also mitigate these challenges of connection, may mitigate advancement of neuroscience research. So we want to get their perspectives as well. This is for Brain Awareness Week 2025. And then I'll follow up with our distinguished panelists. They've already engaged in the chat. The president has also told us the efforts that the Neuroscience Society of Nigeria is making to showcase labs, okay, labs and lab work. And we've been able to see, as of when I met Dr. Maina July last year, he wasn't even talking about this neuroimaging yet. He wasn't even talking about the fact that the lab had scaled to another level. And that shows what can happen within a few months. So I want to congratulate you, sir. Well done. You keep setting standards that I've not broken I've not even broken to get a PhD, let alone start lab. You've added to the problem for me. I hope that God will continue to support you and support us also to do Nigeria and Africa proud, just like you have. So if we don't have any questions for them, please let us release them. We have 1 hour gone already of beautiful presentations. And then the next panelist will be Dr. Thank you very much, Dr. Omaina. I'm very grateful, and I believe that all the other colleagues here are grateful. You didn't charge me a dime. You didn't make it difficult for me. You didn't punish me for us spelling Yobe State government wrongly, and I am grateful for that. Distinguished triple president, may God continue to give you strength to carry the rest of us. Thank you, sir, for joining in, and we hope to do this together next year. I'll bring my plan to you, and I trust that you will support us as usual. Good morning, distinguished panelists. God bless you. Thank you, Dr. Maina. Thank you so very much. All right, we will take career. We'll move straight away into a career discussion right now with one of my mentors. Again, I met her at the Society of Neuroscientists of Africa conference last year, and I took to her immediately. For our distinguished friends joining us outside of Africa, it may be difficult to be able to understand the role culture plays for neuroscience research in Africa. We are just a colorful people. And so when I met Dr. Mrs. Uchenna Ihunwo last year, it was first about her appearance. She was African through and through. I don't know when I'll be able to be that elegant, but she was just so elegantly dressed. I christened her Mother Africa right then. I just christened her, and that's how she saved on my phone. And when I started to engage with her, it even became more interesting because she shared with me her background, which spans different many sectors of intellectual discourse. And then she brought it home and said, henceforth, I'm even going to be more particular about new branches of brain research and neuroscience in Africa. And I was pleased to learn only a few weeks ago that she's part of a consortium doing some research on neuroimaging and then, of course, ethical issues in Africa. I thought that was very impressive. I didn't tell her that I've heard, but now you know that I know. It's good to have you here, Mother Africa, this morning, discussing about your pet project that has been ongoing for a while, brain wellness, and then also the career pathway that has taken you. Over to you, Mother Africa.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning, ma'am.
Can you hear me? Because I don't understand what the internet is doing this morning.
At least we have audio. We will take that. Thank you very much, ma'am. We hear you clearly.
Okay. I don't know, because the moment you called me, my internet went off. Oh. And I'm hoping that I will not be late. So I'm going to go straight because the internet is playing some pranks this morning all over.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Uche, Mama Africa. I don't know why they call that, yes, but I take it. My discipline is education and leadership. But how did we start brain and mental health issues? It originated from my husband, who has been neuro, brain everywhere. So one day he got me excited. He said, Madam, do you know there is neurolinguistics? Do you know there is neuroethics, neuropolicy, neuro-what? And I got excited. So that kind of stimulated my thoughts, because as a researcher in diseases with stigma, neuro has been one aspect of the research I was interested in. But during my PhD time, HIV was thriving then as the strongest disease with stigma. So I decided to study that. But I still kept mental health on the side, that one day my path will cross that place. Eventually it crossed. So when I got excited into neuro, I began to see around me that there are so many people living with mental health challenges. My domain of research, bringing it down, is lived experiences. So that caught my interest directly. And I was always particularly interested in how culture, our diverse culture, has played its role in either mediating, escalating, or kind of dealing with mental health challenges or diseases. So as we plan to have a brain wellness initiative, the idea was to have an organization that will grow, strengthen, and advocate for African-based, African-inspired, and African-sustained neuroscience and brain wellness programs in the whole African region. Having been opportune to travel almost around the whole African countries, we felt that it is high time we begin to advocate for those without voice in the mental health area. So we started developing the passion to bring in all the known and existing or mental health neurosciences areas, scientists themselves, people that are interested, people that want to do stuff in mental health, people that are living with the sicknesses, people that are looking after those living with the sickness, and to see how we can put ourselves together and begin to advocate and to mediate and to see how to solve mental health challenges from the niche, from the beginning, because there are certain things that we can identify early and be able to nip it at the bud. So we have a lot of psychiatrists and people. We came together and we have this brain wellness initiative. So how the career, it has developed into so many areas. Number one, we have so many students, young students that are coming up under our tutorage. They come in to do some quick researches in our labs. Sometimes we place them in labs. That's why I am talking to Dr. Bio RTC, because we have some students, some mentees that would love to come and learn things around imaging. And a lot of people always send us letters that we need to be placed in a lab. We have this lab request a lot. So please, doctor, expand it so that we can send you some people. We can even apply for them if you want us to. And like you said, if you even want us to organize for their chemicals and whatever they need to use to do, whatever, just let us know. We are willing to do that. So the career has expanded to those people that want to do lab. We have neurolinguistics. That's where we start to talk about languages like Dr. Olu is talking about. What is brain in your language? And from there, we start to talk about what your people use to deal with people that had mental. We have a lot of expose around neurolinguistics, neuroethics, policy, law, researches, and so many areas that you can't even begin to talk about. Every aspect of human endeavor has neuro inside. Recently, we got into the one he's talking about, the Bridge project, where we are looking at data, brain-related data, mental health data. What are we saying? We are saying that the people that have mental health challenges are not captured. There is no data in Africa around them. And we are trying to see how to mediate that. How do we capture them so that solutions can begin to fly in on how to deal with their challenges? And again, for government to recognize the weight of these challenges, because literally every home has one or two people that are mentally challenged. And the earlier we get in and start to dig in to begin to capture the data, the better we can arrest the situation, because one person that you handle is a community that you have handled. That is one thing that we are advocating for. So the research is helping us to also circulate information around data, mental health challenges in legal, in lived experience, in ethics, and in technology. So we are covering those things, trying to gather information in Africa in that area. So we are part of the research. We also
Okay, just like we've been talking about, we can't hear Dr. Uche Amadi Nhunwu anymore. And the challenge of having virtual meetings, or virtual research in Africa. She's exited now. I hope she joins us back. There are at least 2 panelists who express their discomfiture at not being able to log in. I am right here in the United Kingdom. The internet is just a bit better, is what I can say to you. But I think it's something to start considering in the future regarding what role digital infrastructure plays for research. And that is why we already agreed that the 2025 Brain Awareness Conference is going to be physical. We can make it hybrid for those who want to join outside of Africa or or Nigeria, but it's definitely going to be physical. By the end of this session, which is in 1 hour, we'll make full announcements about the Brain Awareness 2025. Dr. Uche Amadi, who I see you connected, even though you are muted. So I think that you may be able to conclude your presentation. If you can hear me, Ma, you may need to unmute so that we can hear you if you are still discussing. In the meantime, thank you, distinguished president. You're still logged in. I'm very grateful to you. I only became a member of our society early this year. You've afforded me so much support. I'm grateful, sir. Dr. Nhunwu, can you hear us, ma?
I can hear you.
Yes.
I'm rushing so that the internet will not cut me off completely.
Don't worry, Mother Africa. Yeah, done well.
The last section, Pete said, what am I doing at the moment?
Yes, ma'am.
We are doing what we call brain awareness advocacy. In our advocacy, we take brain-related issues, including neuroscience studies, to schools. We take it to primary schools, we take it to secondary school, we take it to university, we are also taking it to community. In that, we are trying to excite young people, minus the university, we try to excite the young people towards neurosciences. That is number one thing. And again, from there, we are going into the university where we encourage the existing scientists to consider neuroscience as an option, either partially or full, because neuroscience is wide and is diverse. People are running away from brain, but we have to come back because our journey starts and ends in brain. So we are taking it there. And in the community, we are bringing them in to realize and to also learn about their brain. So we create a lot of awareness in brain. Sometimes we get funding from IBRO. Sometimes we fund ourselves. Sometimes our partners rise to our challenges, but we don't stop shouting brain, brain, brain. And again, we are doing researches in small places. We have a lot of our volunteers that are linked to us that are doing some researches. We try to escalate their research by bringing them to labs, our lab in particular in South Africa and our partners' labs in Nigeria, so they can learn some things. That's Bio RTC. I am holding you on because we have to train some researchers for us. And then we also have partners that are currently, asking us for areas of, this is the new challenge we are having, which I am in Nigeria to unpack. We people that are now in the deep rural Nigerians that are writing, and they are asking us to come in for neuroeducation. So we will be going to the depth of Nsukka, deep in there, to educate people on things around their brain. And when we are going, we normally carry the psychiatrists, we carry also the medical doctors to, to do some light assessment on people's health and their mental wellness. So when we put all these things together, our work is continuously growing and escalating. So basically, this is what we do in a nutshell. And we are all over Africa, and we are asking for more people to come join us and take the neuro campaign wider than, like take it out from the lab community, take it out from the lab and take it to schools, take it out of the lab and take it to the depth of nowhere, as long as there are people there. Let's just go shout, this is because we believe that if you understand how your brain functions, you will know when something is different. And people around you will know when something is beginning to be different around you. So Brain Wellness Initiative is what we are doing, taking not only brain issues to the lab, to the classroom, but also to the community and to everywhere. That is it from us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mother Africa, Dr. Uche Amadi Ihonwo. Thank you for surmounting the challenge. You just taught me additional resilience, which is what I was taking you through this. We were discussing these challenges a few months back, and I didn't even think that it would resurface today. And I see also Joe Maris has put in the chat that we have to really talk about this challenge of digital services and infrastructure to support research. She also has a question for you there. She said you should share how to contribute volunteership to Brain Awareness Initiative. Do you want to take that, Dr. Uchenna? How can they contribute?
Yes, with pleasure. Normally yes. Joe Maris, please let us know what is your area. The moment we know your area, we have a website, we will send you there. Tell me, or you can write me directly to say, this is your area of interest. This is what I enjoy doing. And immediately we assign you to what you have to do for us. We don't waste time because we need more hands. Just let me know where your interest, and we kick off. Thank you.
Yes, she says she certainly will. And I can tell you, ma'am, that I've also penciled it down. Just as you have told us what the Brain Wellness Initiative, where you are at the moment, and you have been able to spot the opportunities that BioRTC has, we will be waiting to hear the result of that in the Brain Awareness Week 2025. So Brain Wellness Initiative and BioRTC would be the vehicle to help us get the younger ones involved. And when I say younger ones, I'm talking about those children who are still in their formative years all the way to secondary school. So they will be a critical component of the event next year. And that session will be hosted by BioRTC and Brain Wellness Initiative. This way, we'll be able to amplify what we are doing with children, even at that elementary level. Thank you very much, Dr. Uche Namadi, who I call Mother Africa. She's put our email address, I believe, in the chat. So for Joe Maris, please take note of that. But definitely next year, we hope that we'll have even children attendees at the event, and then they would have taken benefits, hopefully, of what Brain Wellness Initiative is doing and BioRTC. Thank you very much, Dr. Amadi for the sacrifices you've made this morning. I really do hope to hear about tremendous progress in Nsukka. I've noted that the theme of even the session for next year, for your own session, take it out from the lab. I just wrote it down. You kept saying that again and again. Take it out from the lab to the community, and that will be a significant part. That's the whole essence of brain awareness week anyway. Thank you very much. She's put another email address right there for those who want to support for bringing knowledge to the street, to those who don't have access, and also to the children. So please, we would like for support to be channeled in that direction. Thank you very much to a distinguished mentor that I call Mother Africa. There's somebody that I've said I always introduce her wherever I have. I am just at the core of my own research. In all of this, I'm just a neuroethicist in training. Dr. Olivia Mashabane was the one who published a paper in 2021-22. And at that time, I didn't even have a direction for my research because neuroethics discourse is new in Africa. But I saw that paper and it made a difference. She also has several events lined up for this season and today, but she's also made it here. I just want to thank you, ma. Thank you very much, Dr. Olivia Mashabane. Your impact is tremendous. Thank you for all that you do. All right. For others who have joined us, Lawan Adamu, thank you for being here. Abbas Nasidi, Ajara, Abubakar Sadiq. I've also learned that there's Arewa Neuro. Arewa Neuro, I like that a lot. Look forward to seeing what is happening at that end. Vaughn was here from the beginning. Vaughn Ingraham, thank you so very much. Francis, thank you for helping to put this together. Muhammad Mustafa, thank you. Kausara Ganiyu, thank you. Dawood Usman, thank you for bringing here. Professor Samuel Onosonwu, who has always encouraged me, a distinguished executive member of the Neuroscience Society of Nigeria. Thank you for being here, Prof. Thank you so very much. I count on you all the time. And our distinguished president, who stayed back even after his own session, thank you very much. Elise Amegasi joined in from the very beginning. Thank you for spending time here. Another mentor of mine is Professor Adijoke Elizabeth Memudu. Thank you for spending time here today. Suleiman Amidu, thank you. And then the organizers of this event, Emily, is also here. Emily, thank you for making our time, even though we are in different time zones. We have at least 3 additional presenters, panelists who are still finding it difficult to join in. That's Dr. Ebere from Nigeria. She's at the University of Port Harcourt. She also has an event today, but she was supposed to be discussing neuroimaging and challenges in Africa. Dr. Tombo is also finding network issues difficult, okay? Dr. Tombo would have advanced the discussion on career, neuroanatomy, and career development. That was what she was supposed to come and discuss. But we now see, and I'm sure that to our hosts from the United States, you see the peculiar challenges that we face in Africa, even regarding having a virtual event. So next year, Dr. Mashabane, you are coming to Nigeria. You are coming to Nigeria for Brain Awareness Week. So that Friday, that last Friday, I see that you're celebrating, you must come. I don't think you've come before now. If you don't come before then, I shall be. Jomari says, I second this. Yes, we would have as many as want to join us from outside Nigeria next year. Brain Awareness Week next year, 2025, is going to be in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. We will show you hospitality, Nigerian hospitality at its very best. We've got Aliu Kano trying to join in. We have had one of the takeaways today is the necessity of having excellent digital infrastructure to be able to host events and conduct research. We've learned about the imperativeness, if you like, of collaborations and partnership from distinguished president of the Neuroscience Society of Nigeria, Professor Bamdele Owoyele, who joined in 15 minutes before time and has been here, except for when network was messing up. I would apologize on behalf of Mother Africa. You delivered in full. I will apologize on behalf of Dr. Tammy Tombo, and then also Professor Ebere Wogu, who are our last 2 presenters, and Professor Damien Okaibedi, who are unable to make their own presentations this morning. By our time, we ordinarily would have had only about 41 minutes left for those 3 presentations at 15 minutes per presentation, but we can't have them because of network issues. So I want to thank everyone for joining us. We definitely will extend the invitation to you for next year. This event is being recorded, so you will also receive the full recording. We have only not been able to take 3 more presenters because of network issues. So I want to wish you a good morning. I look forward to seeing you, knowing that God will keep us till 2025. This time a physical event for you to come to Abuja, Nigeria, as we do this for Africa. God bless you, Joe Maris. God bless you. Please plan to attend. We'll provide every necessary support. Thank you, everyone, for joining in this morning. Ajara says, thank you for having us. I'm the one who is blessed, and Africa is blessed for having you this morning. Thank you very much. Thank you, distinguished colleagues and seniors. Thank you for your time this morning. God bless you, and see you physically by the grace of God next year, which means you'll be alive and we'll be discussing the incredible developments that we have been able to achieve. Have a great morning, and bye for now.